Jesus took Peter, James, and John, his brother, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to him, conversing with him. Then Peter said to Jesus in reply, "Lord, it is good that we are here. If you wish, I will make 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." While he was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud cast a shadow over them. Then from the cloud came a voice that said, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." But when the disciples heard this, they fell prostrate and were very much afraid. But Jesus came and touched him, saying, "Rise, do not be afraid." And when the disciples raised their eyes, they saw no one else but Jesus alone. As they were coming down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, "Do not tell the vision to anyone until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." Hello and welcome to Closer Walk Catholic Communications. I'm Father Bayer, your host, and we're glad that you can join us today. The Transfiguration. All of a sudden, his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as light. A new God, a new Jesus, a new way of seeing him. Has it ever happened? Has it ever happened that you had an event in your life that transfigured you? I now know God. I now see God. I see him in a completely different light. The question is have we quit looking? You know, for those of us who are raised as cradle Catholics, we develop some very strong Catholic habits. And that's great. That's always wonderful to develop those habits. And it's even better when you're able to maintain them throughout your life. But for many Catholics, the last time they had any religious education was before their confirmation. Unfortunately, many Catholics believe that confirmation is your Catholic graduation. You don't need to learn anymore. You don't need to study anymore. You can now get married in the church. You've been baptized, made your first penance and first Eucharist, and now you're confirmed. You've graduated. For some of the people, that was 6th grade, 8th grade. Now, depending on your diocese, it can be anywhere from 2nd grade till high school. Who knows? But let me ask you something. How many of us still see the world and deal with the world the same way we did in high school? If you did, you're probably incarcerated and not able to see this show, okay? If that was your only religious experience and you're still doing things at age 40, 50, 67, 70, the same way you did when you were 15, 16, and 17 years old, you're spiritually retarded. Your growth has stopped. You're not capable of being what we need. And so that idea that, you know what? I want to see God differently. I want to know more about this God. I want God to show me himself in a way that I've never, ever seen him. And some of the incidents, Some of the accidents of our lives reveal God to us in a whole new way that had it not first happened, we wouldn't have been searching. The guy, works hard, working on his career, tells himself the reason why I do all this is to provide for my family. Oh, he missed all the ball games, all the dance recitals, all the little piano recitals and everything. But I'm out there, and I'm doing this for you. And all of a sudden, the big heart attack comes. And he's lying in a bed in an ICU hooked up to machines. Guess who's out there in the waiting room? Not his clients, not his boss, not his co-workers, his wife, his children, his brothers, his sisters, his family, his parents, depending on age. The people that all along the way that he said he was working for and didn't have time for, they're the ones who are there. They're the ones who love him. And then in the midst of not knowing whether or not he's going to make it, as they visit one by one, and you get very emotional, and now you decide to say the things that you should have said a long time ago, just in case I die, I want you to know this, I want you to know that, I want you to know the other thing. And all of a sudden, when your lifelong project has been interrupted and you think you may well be in God's waiting room right now, you're amazed at how you see God. You're amazed at the things that come out of your mouth. You're amazed at the stuff that you all of a sudden realize in this very sickened state. And you're amazed at the things that you say that you felt all along, but you never took time to say. You see God differently. You've been transformed. You've been transfigured. When in the midst of my addiction, we have taken advantage of parents, family, co-workers. We've lied and we've lied and we've lied to cover up our addiction. And we've gone through so many different aspects of using and abusing people who love us and people who very tearfully said, I'm going to do this for you, but promise me you're not going to do this with the money or that with the money, or promise me you're going to go to church, or promise me you're going to go to a meeting. The people we've lied to all the time, and we got away. We lived by our wits. And yeah, we hurt them, but it was only money. They're none the worse off for it. They can afford it. They weren't protecting their money. They were protecting someone they loved more than life itself. And then, when you get to that point, I'm done. I can't go anymore. I've done this way too long. I've hurt way too many people, and I'm tapped out. I need help. And when you go to ask for help, the first thing they tell you is without God, you're powerless. Without God, you do nothing. And now all of a sudden, the one that you never had time for is the only one who can pull your behind out of the gutter. And then all of a sudden, God gives you this keen awareness. You're good for nothing. Do you realize what you did to your mama? You realize what you did to your daddy? Do you realize how many times you lied to your family, did X, Y, and Z? And so the fifth step is to take a fearless moral inventory, then to make amends. You experience God in the midst of your nothingness, and you long to become something in the sight of God because He's the only one who can help you stop looking for God, looking for God in new ways. Most of us think we're doing fine. We're on our own, we're masters of our own fate, and we're cruising along, and everything is good. And then you hit that point. I can't fix it. I can't change it. I don't care how many degrees I got in atomic physics. I don't care how many years I spent in med school. I've got a 7-year-old child that they don't think is going to live. And guess what? I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer. And what do? We have to find the only one who can help. We have to see the God that we weren't really sure existed, and we've got to search for Him, and we've got to go to that God hat in hand, not that He wants us hat in hand, but because of our own shame, our own busyness, our own denial, we've never had time for God. We got better things to do with our life. And Sunday's my only day to rest and play golf. I work hard all week long. I don't need to do that. I know what I believe. I don't need to go to church to have some preacher tell me what I believe. I am fine just like I am. It'll eventually come down to, I need to find the God that I never had time for. And I need to see this God in an entirely different way. Unfortunately, most of us don't continue that search we began in childhood until we're really in a jam. He becomes the God that's open all night long when nobody else is there to help us. He becomes a 24/7 God that we've never had time for. He becomes the one that we go to when all of my intelligent, all of my wealthy, all of my pseudo-knowledge can't fix what I love the most and can't deliver with what I love the most. And the real challenge of the gospel of the Transfiguration, and see, Peter, James, and John had been faithful all along. They were there. And even in the midst of their fidelity, even in their midst of being with the Lord 24/7, they had an opportunity now all of a sudden in the presence of Moses and Elijah and the voice from the sky. They had an opportunity to see someone they loved in a completely different light, even after remaining faithful. And we're going to talk about the faithful. And we're going to talk about what do we do in the midst of what we think is our good and holy and practicing life. What do we do to be transformed and see a whole new God? Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment. Hi, I'm Father Jeff Bae from Closer Walk Catholic Communications. Thank you for being here today, and a special thanks for the support that you give us. First of all, your prayerful support we so desperately need, and also your financial support. We are donor-driven, and that is what keeps us on the air today. As you well know, the truth is in great demand and in very short supply, and mainstream media is not going to bring you the truth of the Gospels of our Lord Jesus Christ because that's not socially acceptable and it's not politically correct. Certainly we all realize that when this life journey's over, we don't stand before the Supreme Court, we stand before the throne of God. Therefore, with great clarity and great charity, to pronounce the truth of the gospel is important. Your prayers, your financial support enables us to do that. So we thank you, and may God bring you closer in your walk with the Lord each day. God bless you. While he was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud cast a shadow over them. And from the cloud came a voice that said, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." Hello and welcome back to Closer Walk Catholic Communications. I'm Father Bayer, your host. This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. Sounds pretty straightforward. But the reality is, yeah, I know, but. Well, yeah, I mean, I understand that, but. And we go through and we look at the commandments and we look at the church's teaching and we look at our situation. We go, yeah, I know, but. And our but ends up getting us in places that we really don't want to be. And so here's the question. How many of us, and I would imagine most people who watch this show are people who are trying to grow in faith and they're genuinely searching for better ways to know and to love and to serve God. And so I may be preaching to the choir here, but how many of us approach our faith as if we have so far to go? I mean, there's so much I don't know. There's so much more that I could do. You know, I am really in my faith, Lord, I believe, but increase my faith. The whole thing of the mustard seed, the smallest of seeds, the largest of shrubs. How many times do we really long to increase our faith, increase our knowledge? And we do great things. I always love, as a priest, to do homebound visitations. And especially people who lack mobility. And every time you go there, they're sitting in the same chair, and they're so happy to see you. And on the arm of their chair, they've got their prayer book, and they've got a rubber band around it because they got so many prayer cards in there and so many deceased loved ones' prayer cards in there, and it's been there for years. And they sit there all day and they pray all day long. And, we can get into habits, and I'm certainly not talking about the homebound and people who lack mobility, but I'm talking about the fact that we can get in religious habits that in and of themselves are not bad, but they don't lead us anywhere. They're the same thing over and over. I don't need a missalette for church. I know all those prayers. I sit in the same pew every week. And God help anyone outside the parish who sits in my pew, okay? But we can go through that routine. But we can become habitual Catholics, which is not bad, but becoming complacent Catholics is not good. Thinking that I do everything I need to do. I have all the prayers I need to pray. I do all the things I need to do. And so it's not necessary for me to do anything else. Yeah, we have a parish mission. I've heard all that stuff for 30 years. I'm not going to that. Well, I never make a retreat. I never go to any of the programs the parish offers for continuing education. I never take advantage of any type of pilgrimages. I just like the way I do things. When we get to that point, we've quit searching to see God in a whole new way. We've quit trying to discover new ways to honor, to love, and to serve our God. I liken it to a marriage relationship. You know, when you were young and in love, and, you don't know if it was hormones or real love, but, couldn't keep your hands off each other. It was so wonderful. We're looking forward to getting married and everything like that. Well, you get married and you just love being together with each other. And then your wife has a child. And the wife sees the way her husband cares for that child. And the husband sees the way the wife cares for that child. You love them for a different reason now. It's really different. It's not about the great passion that we had when we were young. I mean, they're just so good and so wonderful with the children. And then you see the children, get to puberty, and all of us want to sell them to the first gypsy that comes along. But then you see your husband or your wife really being so very kind and patient and not overreacting, but trying to help the kids get through this question and this stage where they know so much more than you'll ever know because you're stupid and you're a dinosaur. And you see them really good with the kids. And then one of the others, parents, are elderly and they get sick. And now you see them care for their in-laws or their outlaws, whatever the case may be. But you see the patience and the understanding and the nurturing they do to help these people. And you love them for a whole different reason. And then one of the spouses gets sick. And now you have to live that in sickness and in health until death do us part. And it's like, wow, I never thought I would have to do this for my spouse. But if this is what they need, it's what I'm going to do. And it's a whole different way of loving your spouse, to be there for you. And so you can look at the love relationships we have in life, and you realize every new stage and every new phase enables you to see them in a different way and love them in a different way and appreciate them in a different way. So what have we done in our faith journey to see God differently? If you're 50, 60, 70, 80 years old and you're still saying, now I lay me down to sleep, you may be pretty stunted, okay? You may really need to start to look to understand God in different ways. You need to look for new experiences to understand God. There've always been movements in the church that we have the neo-catechumens and we have the charismatic renewal and we have marriage encounter and we've had that man is you, and we've had various stages of faith sharing. And when I hear people say, I don't need that. I'm happy just like I am. I don't need that. If anyone can say to you that they're as close to God as they will ever be, and they don't need any more knowledge about God, I'm going to ask you to start praying for them and praying for them daily. Because just making that statement means they're probably so far away and they're so clueless about what God invites us to in our relationship with Him. And it's in those moments of life's challenges that we start to experience God's grace and God's love and God's mercy. All of those phases I talked about in terms of comparing a faith life to a married life, you make them through them, but there are days when you don't think you are. You eventually get over them, but there are real challenges that go with them in every age and every stage, and it calls us to a different form of prayer. Hail Mary, full of glory be to the Father and our Father. That isn't cutting it right now. There's nothing wrong with those prayers. That isn't cutting it. Maybe adoration of the Blessed Sacrament. Maybe it's that time where we're just totally lost. I go sit in an adoration chapel. I look at the Blessed Sacrament, and I go sit in God's lap. And I just go sit in God's lap and let him bring me through this, because, Lord, I'm about ready to go crazy with this situation. I don't know how to handle it anymore. I've had many of people who are taking care of their spouse with cognitive issues, and they're their sole caregiver, and it's 24/7, and they're afraid. They're at the edge. And I said, well, do you ever have any help? Well, some people come, and I go get my hair done. I said, well, do me a favor. Next time someone comes and gives you a little time, go to the Adoration Chapel. Sit in God's lap. He don't care what your hair looks like, okay? But just sit in God's lap and pour it all out. Tell him what you're afraid of. Tell him what makes you cry. Tell him what's so very difficult. Tell him what breaks your heart. And allow God to come to you in a completely different light at this age and this stage in your life. We're in the season of Lent. Wonderful time. Wonderful time to take part in parish missions, take part in parish devotions, the Station of the Cross, adoration, whatever. Wonderful time to now all of a sudden have God come to you in a completely different light. If we're not still searching for God, and if we think we've got him in our hip pocket, you better beware. You've lost him completely. God is not ours to hold. God is mystery that we continue to search for, we continue to need, and we continue to try to grow in things that bring us closer to the one who gave his life for us. We thank you for being with us. May each day bring you close in your walk with the Lord. God bless you. Hi, I'm Father Jeff Baye from Closer Walk Catholic Communications. Join us here on this station each week as we strive to bring you the gospel message with great clarity and great charity, and may God bless you in your walk each day.